See what
So
happens.
this is from On3.com's Jesse Simonton. And he has, we'll do the ACC first and we'll do the SEC. He has this broken off into tiers that he has the over-under win totals for each team in the league. Now, he says too high at 4.5, 5.5, 5.5, and 4.5 for Boston College, Pitt, Georgia Tech, and Virginia Tech. At just right, 9.5, 9.5 at Clemson, 8.5 at Louisville, 7.5 at North Carolina, 3.5 Stanford, 8.5 Virginia Tech, 6.5 Cal, 6.5 Duke, 9.5 Miami. Don't worry about it, Garrett, if you can't get it up there. 7.5 SMU, 7.5 Syracuse, 4.5 Wake, and too low, NC State and Florida State at 8.5 and 9.5, respectfully. Trey, your thoughts on those?
I'm not going to lie and tell you that I know the inner workings of the ACC right now. I will say this, though, that Clemson is going to get their asses kicked their first game of the season playing Georgia in Atlanta. And I just don't have a ton of faith that Dabo understands how to properly lead a college football program in the NIL era. Yes, he does return his quarterback, but there was a big question mark with regards to the weapons surrounding Cade Klubnik last year. And offensive line play, even going back to their championship-winning teams, was always mediocre at best or maybe slightly above average. It wasn't elite, though. That is bad now, and while the defense still does bring a lot to the table, I just think that offensively they are so lacking, it's going to cost them at least 3 games this year, if not 4. I have them as an 8 or 9 win football team, so I guess technically that 9.5 is the right on number, but I think they do fall short of that.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. So you can see it now. Damn these computers, robots in these modern times. Yeah. I'll be the one in the Terminator, like living underground in a shipping container, rallying people to fight against the robots. I will definitely be that guy. I think the 2 high ones, I don't think he's fair on Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech will beat that. I don't really know about Pitt. We'll see. They got Eli Holstein's quarterback now, and he was highly recruited to Alabama, and he's there. Virginia and BC, that's probably about right, given the status of the rosters. Clemson's probably about right. Louisville, I might say a little bit under that, just because we don't know if Tyler Shuck can be healthy and what the quarterback depth is there. North Carolina, it's all on Max Johnson, to stay healthy and lead that team.
Oh, Max Johnson, not Mac Browns. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But Stanford 3.5. Yeah, we don't know what's going on there. It's going to be tough.
That's never going to feel right, Stanford in the ACC.
I might take Virginia Tech at 9 games. I really might.
That would be a good one.
They're on the upswing. And the rest, Miami 9.5 is about right for them. They could very well exceed that given the roster they have. But like we talked about earlier, Mario Cristobal, has to get out of his own way.
I'm taking the under on that one. I don't know about Duke either. I think that Malik Murphy is the quarterback there now. I know people are high on him coming out of Austin. It was more of a mixed bag than a lot of people realize if you watch the entirety of those games. Steve Sarkisian had a really good opening script for him. When he was having to do more thinking and improvising on his own, it was a major struggle. So there's probably going to be a pretty big struggle for year 1 for him as a starter in Durham.
Yeah. And for the 2 lows, yes, I will take the over on NC State with Grayson McCall at quarterback. One of the, I think they finally have a guy who can do some things there. Devin Leary got hurt right as he was starting to peak, and then it didn't really work out for him as much at Kentucky. And I think Florida State's going to win 10 games. I don't think that they're going to win 13 again, but I do think they're going to win 10.
Man, they lose a lot on both sides of the ball, especially on offense. DJ Uiagalelei, wait, he's not the quarterback there. Who is their quarterback? Okay, he is their quarterback. He showed some nice things at Oregon State last year, but I'm still a little bit suspicious of him. I think they fall below that 9.5.
Yeah, I think their schedule sets up well that they can beat it and go over. But I'm not saying they're not going 13-0 again. And look, if they do, then God bless America. But I do think there's going to be some trip-ups in there. It's really hard to go undefeated in any season, and it's about to be harder even now. So them going 13-0 last year and going through the regular season, win the ACC like they did, I I still think they're probably the favorite to win the ACC, but and the reason I think that they're going to be fine is that their offensive line is mostly back and they've kind of improved along the offensive line. They do lose Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. Like, that's enormous.
Yeah.
Like, losing Kalen DeLoach at linebacker is huge too, even though he was a bit of a lower draft pick. He was just a guy who kind of came out of nowhere and made plays. But their secondary is mostly intact. I mean, they lost their corners, but they had guys that played a lot.
Right.
So they had depth on defense. Their scheme on defense is lethal. They've brought in Marvin Jones Jr. They've got guys. I think they'll exceed it. I don't think they're going to, again, 11-1, great. 12-0, great. If they go 13-0 again, God bless America. But I think they're a 10-2 team.
Okay.
I do. I think they're 10-2. And I don't know what those two are going to be. I mean, I don't know what the two. I think one of the Clemson Miami games is a loss, and then there's a loss in there, a rando.
At Miami.
Well, that's never bothered them recently, but I mean, that's a better team, than it was. Miami played them a lot better actually last year than they did, of course, 2 years ago. Florida State could have left. they could have been like, you guys want to stop this? And Miami would have been like, yes, please, God, please stop this. This is awful. But so I think they're over. Like, Notre Dame is going to be tough when they have Notre Dame. But
at Notre Dame, you're right, November 9th.
Of that Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami, I think there's a loss in there, and I think there's a rando.
And they're getting Florida on a good year at the end of the season because Billy Napier is likely going to be fired before the end of the season. Because Florida, if nothing else, they have a brutal schedule. So they're going to be in tatters by the end of the season.
We're going to go to the